Hi guys. So I noticed in the last video that there were some unanswered questions and also a broken link to the software that you need. I have fixed that, and in the bottom of the description here below that you can look on now, you'll see a link, and click that and follow the steps I'm about to show you to install the software for your CX20. I will then also go over a simple motor installation, and all CX20s have the motors that are identical to the DJI Phantoms. I'll go over that in just a minute. So, when you get to the CX20 software, I hope you can see this from the camera that I'm using. So on the description, either the last video that I did or this video, click the link. It'll take you to the Big Fly Shark main page. Go over to support on the top bar and download the Flight Controller Assistant 1.3. It'll be the S8 Assistant setup. Follow the instructions, and I also explained that some of the instructions are in Japanese and you won't be able to read them. But run through the basic setup, and when you get to the Japanese/Chinese part, click the center option and wait, and it will continue. So once you're done with that, you can also download the two firmware updates. There's the firmware 142 offline upgrade for the CX20 and the 145 offline upgrade. You can download either. I suggest the 142 and then the 145. If you need any help, there's also the Assistant Software User Manual, and then also the Flight Controller User Manual. So that should clarify it for you. The link I said is going to be in the description below, and then also on the first video in the description as well. So anyways, let me go and replace one of the motors here for you so you can see how it's done. So take the landing gear off the base of your quadcopter, and also take off your prop guards and your propellers and the caps. So you have your main screws right here for the landing gear. You also have your 4 main screws for the body here, and then you also have some end screws here, 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 and here. And then there's one more screw right here, which goes up to your GPS module on the top. And then remove all of the screws except for one on every motor. This one's already done and ready because this is the motor that I'm going to be replacing, and it should dangle free like that. And all the other ones have the single screw, so they should stay in place. And then very carefully with your nails or some type of flat screwdriver, remove the top, bring it forward, and you can set it down. And there's your flight controller. And then you got your LEDs here, your GPS here, and then also a communications port which is not being used. So you can actually plug in a plug there and run it down and run to whatever type of communications you want. Anyways, we'll go into just a basic uninstall and reinstall of a new motor. So let me situate this a little bit. These are kind of hard to work with on this tiny little table. Here's the replacement motor, a DJI Phantom motor, and here's the CX20 motor. They are exactly the same. Even the heat shrink is pretty much the same. The only difference I can tell from these two is this one has a tiny little inscription that says Con Star. So then place your motor in there, make sure it looks like it fits, which it does. And another way to check, take the motor and flip it upside down, point the wires the same way, and line up the holes underneath. If the holes line up, the motor will fit. And you're going to need to desolder the red, the black, and the yellow. So let me fire up my soldering iron, get it heated up and ready. You're going to need a soldering iron, a solder sucker, which you can get on Amazon for a few bucks. Also, I recommend a flux pen, and then also some rosin core solder. And I'm using 60% tin, 40% lead. That seems to work pretty good for me. Yes, I know my soldering is atrocious. I'm going to make it very quick and easy here, I'm just going to cut the wires, strip them back a little bit, take my lines, flip them around so that they're facing the same way as these, and I'm going to heat shrink tube them together. I'm going to cut these wires out. So here's the old motor, and I can definitely feel that it's hanging up a bit. Here's the new motor. Feels nice. Very nice. It's going to set in like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip back these wires a bit, flip these around, heat shrink them together, like so, and then just fold them and roll them like that so it can be encased. You're going to take your flux, put the wires just a little bit here, help the solder stick on there a little bit better. Now what we're going to do is add a little bit of solder, enough to coat the wire. Now that's done, we can also strip off a little bit more wire here to connect them. And get some heat shrink tubing. Get a little bit of solder. Those are not coming loose. And slide the heat shrink over the top and use a quick lighter to shrink the heat shrink tubing. Do the rest with all 3 wires. But it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you. Once the motor has been successfully soldered back in and your heat shrink tubing secure, you're going to want to make sure that all the heat shrink tubing is covered. The last thing you're going to do is make sure that the motors are lined up properly with the mounting holes. Place a single screw into the base and then set your motor into the screw. Once that's done, reseat the top mounting, making sure that it's lined up all the way around, then carefully flipping the entire quadcopter over and hold the motor in place. And you can look through and see where the motor's holes line up with the quadcopter. Drop a screw in, there we go. And then replace all the screws. And that's all you do. Get that screw right there. how you put your CX20 back together again. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, please write in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them for you. And please, subscribe. Have a wonderful day.